This is the Shotgun City Sheriff, the law himself, Clayton Clark.
This is the young Titan, Aaron Atlas.
This is your favorite drunken pro wrestler, a.k.a. the Bud Light Brawler, Dalton Davis.
This is Danger Josh Crane.
Hey, this is Matt Brannigan.
This is Sage Phillips, the Catch Wrestling Casanova.
This is Steve Wilson, the man behind former Impact Wrestling and current independent wrestling star, The Monster, Congo Kong.
This is Jake Something.
And this is the jaw-jacking, back-cracking, God created all men equal, and then he made me the sequel, Rohit Raju, and you are listening to the Spot Show Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast. Hell yeah.
The Spot Show Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast? Yeah, that's right, I stuttered. Shut up.
Madrox, listen. There's a thing that has happened on every single Spot Show Podcast, right?
We getting in an argument?
No. Well, yes, but there's a name that has been brought up every single time, and
Jared Savage.
Jared Savage is not the guest today.
Who is
we
it
got
then?
one. How's everyone doing today? I am the Dr. Seuss of the commentary booth, Dickie Wabash, and this is the Spot Show Podcast, a professional wrestling podcast, not about professional wrestling. Joined as always by the one-man boy band, Michael Madrox.
Dickie.
Yeah, sir.
I've never sat so close to a cop in my life.
Guys, he's here finally. Your sheriff, the law, the Shotgun City Sheriff Clayton Clark is finally in the MadBash studios.
How we all doing today, guys? I'm really upset with you, Madrox. I can't believe you bring up Jared Savage over your own. You're sitting next to a cop. You heard it.
Hey, man.
What's going to happen, man?
Just saying, I'm a rule breaker. You know how it goes.
Hey, I'm the law. I'm going to keep track of
I'm on my best P's and Q's right now, buddy.
You better be.
He needs to, here's the problem with Madrox. Like, he is the one that when we started doing Paid Show, I had to rope him in. I'm like, listen, you got to chill a little bit here. I mean, we can talk about what we want, but Madrox can be a loose cannon.
Off the chain then, huh?
You know what I mean?
Butthole pucker on that first line I spit out on the first Paid Show.
Yeah, off the chain like Bobby Roode. So, we were listening to, we being me and Dalton, we were listening to a playlist of TNA themes, and there's like 7 different versions of Bobby Roode's Off the Chain, and they were all on that playlist. So we were just popping big.
Oh
we're like, why do we got to keep hearing this? But hey, you know what? Before we mentioned Paid Show, before we get too far into this, let me just tell you right now, this episode is brought to you by Hybrid Championship Wrestling, Sewer Layer Toys, and BurntBuds.com. But you're going to hear a little bit more about them later. That is unless you head on over to patreon.com/MadBash Studios. And at the $5 and above tier, you are going to get this show absolutely, completely, positively ad-free. But that's not all over on the Patreon. You're going to get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos. If you back us at the $10 tier, you get Big Stupid Popcorn, our watch-along commentary show, which personally is the most fun that I have had doing MadBash so far. Madrox, I know you can probably agree on that one.
It was a pretty good time.
It's always a good time on that one.
Way better than New Blood.
Yeah, we would love to get you on it at some time too.
Yeah.
We would love to do all that. But listen, here's the thing. I understand life can be hard sometimes. Maybe you don't have the extra money to toss our way over on patreon.com/MadBash Studios. That's no big deal, guys. You can support us completely free. Just give us 5-star reviews. Give us a share ski with someone that you think would enjoy the podcast. It is completely free to just hit that share button, that rate button. We love all the support we can get. But let's talk about support right now, right?
Okay.
Because there is someone that has supported us through this entire venture, and he is finally in the MadBash Studios, man.
Clayton, we already known each other very long.
I know.
How long have we known each other? 5 or 6 months now?
We've been back in since January.
Yeah.
And it's September, so 9 months.
It's longer than that.
9 months.
Feels like forever though already though.
Dude, it's gone by so quick. Quick. The funny thing about it though is that you know, the problem is, and this was kind of the issue that I had whenever I got out of the business, is that you go from seeing these people all the time and then you just don't see them anymore. So it's getting to see you at shows and stuff, and not just you, but everyone that we have, dude, it's so dope, man. And that is what has made our time coming back so great.
Well, especially so different. You leave, then you come back, and you're like, who are these people? We don't know anyone now. You're in a whole, you're an alien in a whole new frontier.
Yeah, when we first walked into that Odin building for the first time, we were like, man, who do we?
Who's our clique?
Yeah, we don't have we have a clique now, but at that first time, and props to you, man. You were the first one that came up to us and shook our hand and said, welcome. I've heard a lot about you. Bo told you a lot about us. Bo Sawyer.
Cody Strong for the viewers.
Cody Strong, the Warbound Hellhound. Shout out to him. Dude, I feel bad for him because he recorded a voiceover to go in the intro, but the file got corrupted. Aww. So we have to get another one from him. But anyway, people don't care about that. The point is,
about Bo Sawyer.
People don't care. Yeah, hey, Dickie. Yeah, I gave you that name, kid. But yeah, man, that was the thing that like we were nervous when we first came back, and like shout out to you, man, because you and Poke as well were some of the first people to come up to us and be like, man, we're so glad to have you here, and it was just that's what made us like. Yeah, this is the right
We've
choice.
all been on those shows where you walk in, you've never been there, it's your first time on the card, and you walk in and immediately you see people clicking up and you know they're just staring at you. You're like, okay, you're not sitting with us at the lunch table. And that's just something you never want to have to deal with at all. So it's just whenever I seen you guys come in, and me and Pope, we're just those kind of guys where if we're going to meet people, we're going to bring them in, we're going to talk to them, we're going to conversate. And we all love wrestling. We're there for the same thing. Why not, like embrace that and just, get to know each other. That's the best way to work and establish relationships.
And dude, that's the thing is that like you talk about these cliques, like you walk into a locker room and you just see they're sitting over and they got the look and they're just like, this is our locker room. There's no room for that, man. Like, what are you doing? I've been a part of those cliques before.
Oh, yeah.
I've absolutely been a part of those cliques before, and it doesn't make you feel good.
No.
It does,
that's why it's going to be an open clique, like you said, yeah.
The whole locker room's the dinner table. Everyone's got a spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why we put over the Odin shows because it was like not to put under any other locker room that we work, but it's just like that was our first embrace. It was like, man, this is really cool.
Oh, they treat it like families, really cool. It's the elite family.
Yeah, family. This is why we call MVW the family.
Exactly. Danville Dreamers, just like that.
Let's hop into that because you are one of the biggest fans of Danville Dreamers.
Yes, I am.
And I remember I sent you the link on Facebook, and then you messaged me the next day, and you're like, I'm watching this right now.
Yes.
And then you were just sending me updates and stuff.
He was doing Big Stupid Popcorn before Big Stupid Popcorn was a thing.
Exactly.
He really was. Yeah.
Unfilmed. That was the pilot, the seen pilot. It really was.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And I love because the story of how you found out about it is I see Stetson Winters, and I'm like, oh my God, I made a documentary about him and in Backyard Wrestling. And then you snapped and looked at me and went, Backyard Wrestling? You made a documentary about Backyard Wrestling? And I'm like, you didn't know about this? No. And I'm like, Bo didn't tell you? No. And then I was like, okay, I'm sending you a message right now that's a link to the doc. Watch this. Let me know what you think. I think you're going to love it. And then literally
you have to put a link in this podcast for that. If you guys haven't watched Danville Dreamers, you have to watch Danville Dreamers. This is the most beautiful 1 hour of cinema you will ever watch. I can promise you that.
Man, I actually just had a really good talk with Jason V about it. He was the one that helped me put that whole thing together. And there was a couple of regrets I had with Danville Dreamers. And then he explained it, and he's like, no. That needed to happen. The way that you did it, it makes sense because, I mean, it started off as like poking fun at these guys, and I always regretted putting their mom in it. I don't know why. Because I was looking at it from the mindset of this is a comedy. This is a comedy, and then she's being serious, and then Jason explained it to me. He's like, no, that's the switch flip where it turns into something serious, and I'm like, oh my God. So that made me really appreciate it a lot more.
And one of the things that attracted me to it, like I did backyard wrestling when I was younger. So I seen that and it was just kind of like, it's like a little tunnel look right back into your past a few years ago, only a few years ago for me. But whenever I used to do backyard wrestling, it's we look back on it, the times when it was a lot of comedy stuff, you weren't proud of it, wasn't the best stuff, but you look back on it, it's memories. And like, look where Danville Dreamer guys are now. We were just on shows with Ace Stetson. Look where he is. Mikkel Murphy, Tyler Scott, all of them.
Yeah. So then that's a good segue. You talk about backyard wrestling.
Yes.
We love to talk about backyard wrestling on this. I got to hear your story, brother. I got to hear your backyard stories.
Oh my gosh.
I got to hear your gimmick. I got to hear how many titles you booked yourself to win, most likely.
Well, I was finished, kid. I was not like that. I'll say I was no Vince McMahon or anything like that. It started probably in like 2017, I'd say. It was called IBW, Indiana Backyard Wrestling. We did it in my backyard all the time, of course. We started off on the trampoline, eventually tried building a wooden ring that was just stiff as heck. We thought it'd only be like $1,500. Well, it ended up being $2,000, and I had to ask my mom for a lot of help. So, and that was the most stiff ring I've ever been in until this day. Very unsafe, killed my lower back.
At that point, you could have bought a ring.
No, literally, yeah. I don't know why we just didn't buy a low boy. It would have been so much more smart. But yeah, we just like loved doing it, and we eventually got so many connections where we'd comment on other people's backyard wrestling YouTube channels. We try to start heat with them, get a little invasion angle going. So we found this company in South Carolina, started a little heat angle with them. They end up driving all the way up here, their spring break, and I promoted this show all around town. I made graphics for it, did everything I can. Needless to say, I got 80 people in my backyard. It's still on YouTube to this day.
What?
We had light
Why have
tube
we not
spots.
seen this?
I know, we should have been watching it last night. Yeah. But we called it Invasion. It was IBW versus, I forget the other promotion's name. But yeah.
Listen, I know that you got a schedule to keep today. When we're done recording, I gotta see this.
Absolutely.
I gotta see part of this, dude.
Absolutely.
That sounds dope. So you had 80 people in your fucking backyard.
Yeah, and we actually did a second show where we went to South Carolina, for revenge, because they beat us in the first war. They won more matches than our guys won. So the whole Survivor Series angle where we had to go back and beat them. And we did a storyline where
oh my God.
one of the guys had stole my dad's old journal, and I came back and I wanted revenge because, my last thing I had of my dad. We did a whole storyline out of this. It was just incredible.
Oh my God. I'm
speechless right now.
I'm finding, so this is the thing that we were talking about last night as well. Like, you're someone that I do consider a friend.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
In the business.
You guys as well. You're my friends.
Yeah, I know you feel the same way about us. And I'm still finding out stuff about you because, again, that's that weird world of professional wrestling where we only see each other on weekends. This weekend, you crashed at the studio with us and all this. And so this is the most time I've ever spent with you. And, finding out, that you drove to South Carolina to backyard wrestle.
Literally.
Oh my God. You're probably 16 doing this?
Yes.
16. So how did you what? I don't even know I don't even know what the next question is. I don't even know
travel.
Well, we our friend's mom drove us south, so we did it on our spring break that following year.
Yeah.
So we took a trip to Myrtle Beach, and on the way we stopped there, wrestled, then went to Myrtle Beach. We did the light tube spots and everything. So I have a scar to my day on this side of my ribs right here. We get in the Myrtle Beach, we get in the water and everything, salt water. I just feel it.
Just eating
everything. So it's a great memory. But if we didn't have parents and obviously their parents drove them to the show. So if we didn't have people like that helping us at the time, my family and everybody like that, that's the real support system that gets you there and continues to this day,
Yeah, and that's you bring up the family support system. I want to keep that in the back of your head because that's something we love to talk about on here. But so to tell you what this kind of reminds me of is that we were literally right before, we had Dalton Davis was over here and then HBJ, the referee, and we were going through and I was like, you guys have seen The Backyard, right? That documentary with the lizard, and you're like, oh yeah, I've seen it. You remember the part in that movie where there's those kids in suburban Connecticut and they're just lighting shit on fire and hitting each other with it, and the parents are watching?
Yep.
That's kind of what this reminds me of in a way.
Because we did that invasion show and the light tube started getting out, and this one kid starts bleeding, and my mom looks at me because I'm out in the crowd because it's not my match. She looks at me, she's like, is that real blood? I'm like, no, it's fake. We put it in the light tube. And then the guy wipes the blood off his arm and more comes out. Then she just gives me that look, and I'm like, okay, there's no hiding from this. I'm gonna go slip off over here to the right before my match. But we definitely didn't tell her about a lot of things. And obviously there was the thing where oh, Bobby can't come wrestle IBW today. He's got basketball practice and he can't get hit for put out in Indiana basketball. We know what state we live in.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that.
Well, it's also whenever in the backyard, to bring that up, whenever they're having the match in the backyard and the mom's walking up and throwing the light tubes over not the thumbtacks. And it's just that's kind of what it
anything but that. Just trying to
that was my mom.
Some of it.
That was what?
That was my mom.
That was your mom.
That was my mom.
That was absolutely, yeah.
We used to record and shit, and I'd be sitting there beating a guy with a barbed wire bat. Pull up. What are you fuckers doing? Nothing, just playing. And then you hear Travis in the background. She's gone.
Wham!
So I don't know if we've told this story on the podcast. I think we did when Travis was on, but so his mom was very protective of us, the younger ones.
Right.
He's a little bit older than me. Than Travis is a couple years older, but obviously, he's 7 foot tall.
On one side.
on one. Well, now I'm talking back in the day. This is like when Madrox was at his
You can't teach that.
biggest-
You can't teach that, right?
Yeah, can't teach that.
You can cut it though.
But his mom, rest her soul, was so like protective of him being around us and doing the wrestling. So one day, him and Travis come over and we're hanging out, and his phone rings. Yeah. No, Mom, I'm not at his. No, I'm not. Okay, fine. You can check, but I'm not here. I'm telling you, I'm not here. Click. Travis, we need to go right now. They hop in the car and they just immediately got out. But yeah, dude, you talk about, like, I have a couple, I think we've talked about this. I have a couple little scars on my arm from barbed wire. And the worst one is that we did a thing where a light, not light, I say light. We didn't use light tubes and shit. I think the most hardcore we got was we had a piece of plywood and we put paper on it and set it on fire. That was the worst we ever did. There's no footage of any of this either. That's my one regret. But in a way, there is one thing that is my backyard wrestling, and I'll have to dig and find it and show you. It's just a picture slideshow. But where was I going with this? Oh, so a street sign. We had a trampoline and everything. Flew up into the air, and I flat backed, and it came down and right on the point of my, like, hit me right on the tooth. And I immediately got up. I just lost my fucking tooth. My tooth is gone, and it wasn't. But it was the most miserable week because it damaged the nerve in my tooth. I couldn't eat. I had to, like, go off to the left and, like,
chew on one side.
Chew like I had cut or something just on one side. But man, backyard wrestling, dude. There was this weird stigma a few years ago where if you were a backyarder at any point, you didn't bring it up.
Well, exactly. That's why I said that's probably why you're just now finding out about it, because we had a whole channel up whenever I first started training. I was like, okay, got to get this off here. I really wish I put some of it on a flash drive, or at least had a backup of it, because end up deleting all of it where I only had those two little crossover shows now, and you always hate to see that because it's like those are memories. I don't care what we do. Like, you see videos of the Hardys, like when they were kids, on the trampoline. It's just like, you got to have that. That's memories. That's equivalent to a scrapbook with baby photos for me for wrestling. That's what that is for me.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
you're 100% right on that one. But I mean, that just goes like, I have those thoughts too. Of like, man, what if Dickie Wabash blows up one day, right? And they want to do the career retrospective. There's no footage.
Yeah.
There's really no.
And it's always good to see the character development, the arc. Like, what have we all been through in life? What is our story? And especially whenever you see the backyard, like the very start, especially when you're kids, the first thing that really sets the fire, because that's what it was for me, getting out there every weekend before I travel on weekends now, just with my buddies in the backyard having fun. And essentially, I think a lot of guys on the independents, they need to have that kind of vibe. Yeah, have fun. Obviously, we're doing it trained now, but have fun like how we used to, because that's really what makes us love wrestling in general.
Yeah, that's literally all we're trying to do with MadBash. That's literally all we're trying to do. We talk about it till we're red in the face, blue in the face, but that's just the truth of what we're wanting to do. But yeah, man, I agree. There's just that weird stigma of like, you don't mention that you were in the backyard.
It's very tabooed.
Yeah, it was. Now, one thing that I find very, to bring it back a minute ago, because I said I had something back in my head, the fact that the family was so supportive of you, like, hey, Mom, I want to go to South Carolina and backyard wrestle.
I met these random people online.
Yeah,
exactly.
Or to even, hey, Mom, so some people are coming over to the house from South Carolina, and I'm assuming it was all the same age group.
Yeah, and she did not believe it at all. She's
Really?
she's like, okay, like, this isn't going to happen. Obviously, we met them online. What would you think if your like 15, 16-year-old kid came up to you and told you this? And then lo and behold, here they pull in. All like a whole carload full of them. I think we had 5 or 6, and we had 5 or 6 of our guys, so like a 12-guy show, and then we put it on at the age 16 and got like 80 people. There's not independent shows that can draw that some the time.
Yeah, there's half the
literally,
time. Yeah, that's crazy. But to to the whole family support thing, like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
like I and this is. I love my mother and father very, very much. They were always very supportive of me, but they were also very realistic in a way. So not that they wouldn't discourage anything, but they would also, they would encourage in their own special way. But so that makes me as a parent, like, I'm never going to force anything when and if I have kids. I'm never going to force anything on my kids. Like, I'm going to harvest the dream. Literally, we bring him up all the fucking time.
Oh boy, Jared Savage.
Yeah. Logan Madrox. He's in the same boat right now. He's got an uncle. He's got his dad. He's got brothers like you that are wanting to help him. Like
we're just doing Hindus in the yard with him.
We woke up this morning. To not get ourselves a gun. And here in a little bit, you're going to have to just take the back seat.
Take a back seat. We're going to get a little Sopranos session here.
We're going to talk the Sopranos. But he wakes up and he goes, all right, I'm ready to run drills in the backyard with Clayton and Dalton. And we're like, okay. And then he goes out there and he's hitting his Hindus and Clayton's giving him form advice. And but
his kid's got the dedication. Look out for Logan Madrox whenever he gets a little bit older. I'll tell you that.
Everyone's saying that.
Yeah.
Everyone is saying that.
He's got the drive now. I've not seen that in a lot of younger kids. You really don't.
You don't see that in a lot of grown men.
No.
You don't see that in
exactly. Not just younger kids, grown men, you name it.
You don't see that in guys that have been doing it 10, 12 years. It's crazy.
Kids stayed up with us till like 2 a.m. then wakes up, wants to do Hindus. You don't see that a lot.
Yeah.
You don't see that a lot.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, you had Dalton Davis, who just worked a hardcore match the night before, and he's like, I'll get out there with you a little bit. But yeah, the family support system, I think, is a very, very important thing.
It is.
In the wrestling business. And like, I see your family at almost every show that I'm on.
My
with
mom,
you.
she's the biggest supporter ever.
And that's always, again, the family support. And, the first time I ever really saw it was with Josh Steele. His mom and dad were the same way. They would sit behind the merch table. They would campaign, blah, blah, blah.
They would take him to shows.
They would do all sorts of stuff. But yeah, man, that family dynamic is always something that you love to see.
Right.
You absolutely love to see
because
it.
before I had my license, when I first started training with Noble, I had to meet Bo every day. So my mom would drive me to Vincent's. I'd meet with Bo. We'd head over there. My mom would literally just kind of do stuff around town in Vincent's, kill the time until I got back, which we all know with wrestling practice, that's a good 2 hours or something like that with travel. So waiting all that time just to be sitting there in the car right whenever I get back with Bo. So it's just like stuff like that. I can't, not a self-made guy at all. And it's because of people like that. Mom, Bo, anybody I've ever worked with, really.
And you and I, here's the funny thing about this, is that you and I are so much alike in that we were both from an early stage in our career. Bo Sawyer took us under his wing.
Oh, yeah.
And that's that commonality that we have. And it was just so bizarre to be like, we were at an Envision show, and I go up to Bo and I said, point blank, who's your favorite protege? And he looked at you, looked at me, and I don't even remember what. I think I'm proud of both of you no matter what you've done. But yeah, man.
It's whoever gets in the most rodeo burgers. That's the real question.
Well, for me, so you talk about the rodeo burgers. For me, it was, what was it? We would we would always go to Denny's, and even though it wasn't on the menu, he would have them specialty make the grilled cheese that has the mott sticks in the middle. They took it off the menu. He'd be like, I'm just gonna go ahead and order it. I don't care if it's not on the menu or not. And he would just order it, and it was just like, Bo, what are you doing?
They brought that out there, didn't they? That's the ultimate
did.
Sawyer. You got to treat that OVW superstar.
Oh, absolutely. That OVW superstar. I love it. I see you smirking over there. I know you got some thoughts about Bo.
No, we love him. I'm going to keep it for the paid show.
No, we love Bo to death. I owe him a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I really do owe him a lot.
All the guys at IWAU, IWAU has been one of the places that shaped me like the most. Like Josh Totten, Shank Barzini. Can't praise Shank Barzini.
God,
enough.
Shank, you are the fucking man.
Love Shank. Shank was like one of the first guys who pulled me under the wing. Pulled me under the wing. Well, he pulled me under the end of the ring every show we were on, too. Literally. I'd be there. Kid, let's get in the ring and roll. 5 minutes till showtime. I don't care. That's 5 minutes where we're in the ring. Shank was always great about that. Tanner Keeler, whenever I first came into this business, I seen Tanner Keeler at IWOW, and I was like, man, this guy's like a vet.
Which is so
weird.
weird.
Only 2 years in, barely even that at the time.
Which is weird because I was there I was there for his first day of training.
Yeah.
So it's just weird. These weird full circle moments. these
And
weird
that
full-
just shows like you're in a good place. You see all these guys level up that quick, and just the playing field they're on. It's just like, man, you don't realize until like after it's gone. You're like, that I was in a really good place right there with all those kind of guys, all those hands like working on and teaching you things. It was a really good place.
This guy
Great
over here
working
talking about
environment.
leveling up quick.
Yeah, you're what, 2 years in and you're already a fucking superstar.
It'll be 4 in August.
Four?
I think.
4 in
Yeah.
August,
Well,
okay.
first year, a lot of waiting around before I finally got to IWAU to start
Yeah.
training and do stuff like that. So yeah, pretty much 3 or 4 years now. Yeah.
And then of course you had the COVID year, so there wasn't
COVID
much
year.
going
Like
on.
I wrestled 8 times COVID. I did a lot of training then, but not a lot of shows, obviously, because just killed the business really.
And now look at you out there getting gold in every company you walk
That's
in.
the plan. That's the
Yeah.
plan. The ecstasy of gold has started. I keep wanting it. I got a taste. I'm hungry.
There you go. So we would be remiss if we didn't talk about old no joke Johnny
Oh.
Poke, though. We got to talk about him.
You don't know how we met, do you?
I would love to hear that story. That was
Oh.
my that was my question.
Let me guess, in a backyard in South Carolina?
No, it was not actually. Actually, it wasn't. No.
It was Johnny's backyard.
It was in Alabama, Mobile, Alabama. No, I'm kidding. No, we were working a show in Cannleton for this promotion. We both were in the Battle Royal. I first seen Johnny that show, and he had these like Wolverine tights on, like biker, like X-Men ripoff Elucha trunks. I'm like, okay, who's this guy? Worked the Battle Royal that night, shook his hand, didn't really talk to him that much. The next show in Vincennes, I see him, and he comes in with like a cowboy gimmick, and I'm like, who's this guy in the Party City freaking duster? And you kind of get mad. You're like, I'm the cowboy around here. Who's this schmuck with the Party City duster?
Yeah.
And then automatically we start hitting it off, and it hasn't changed since. Like,
Yeah.
We got paired up with a random one-off tag match there at one time, and it was us, me and Johnny Poke versus Joey O'Reilly and JC Carnage. And right after that match, we're like, we have to team somewhere. And then a year went by, and lo and behold, we had our first match together as Whiskey and Warrants, and just been having the absolute blast since. And even outside of the ring, best friends with that guy. Can't thank him enough for everything. The motivation he gives me, the reason we win this gold. He does a lot for our team. There's a reason the Whiskey is before the Warrants right now, and yeah, I'm glad to be on the ride with him.
Yeah, I give him shit all the time because I'm like, come on, Poke, just have one cheat day.
Yeah.
Just have one cheat
Yeah.
day. And then he made that post on Facebook. He's like, I hope you're happy, Dickie. I had my cheat day.
Yep.
He had that big burrito
Oh, yeah.
and an ice cream cone in front of him. But
So, let me get this straight. You and Johnny Poke bonded because he started cosplaying as his favorite wrestler, Clayton Clark.
That's what I'm gonna start saying now. Johnny was a big fan of Clayton Clark, so he's like, I see the gimmick. I just want to be just like him. Johnny's my sidekick.
I would run
I'm
with
not
it.
his. I'll say
I would
that.
run with it.
oh, I love it. I love Johnny Poke.
All jokes aside,
I
love
it.
Johnny Poke.
My favorite Poke
He's no
story.
joke.
He is no joke. My favorite Poke story is talking about he's very strict with his diet, and we order lunch before EPW.
Yeah.
If I could get that fucking word out. And I order this. Saturday is my cheat day.
Yeah.
So I go nuts because I intermittent fast throughout the week and I count calories. So
Well, on a weekend, sometimes on a Saturday, you have to fast on a show day. My
Yeah.
lands, you never have a time to sit down. Well, you guys are always sitting down having to
Oh,
talk.
well, one of my sugar almost crashed on me during a match.
Oh, last night? Wow.
No, a couple of shows ago. I had to run over to we talked about this with Steven when Steven was
Yep.
on, I think, or we talked
With
maybe,
one of them.
It was one of them, but
They all blend
I
together at
literally
this point.
we're in the middle of the match and it ends and I have to run over and I go to concessions. I'm talking to Brittany that's working concessions and I'm like, I need a candy bar right now. So I just grab a Baby Ruth, shove it down my mouth. I said, I need a hot dog. So she grabbed me a hot dog and then I just hurried up and ran back and I was immediately good. But
We have to do a you aren't you until you're satisfied commercial with you now with the Snickers.
oh, we might need to.
It's Cecil Cerveza until he gets the candy bar, and then it's Dickie.
Brother. We'll save Cecil. We'll
Yeah.
save Cecil until after the ads,
yes.
brother.
Oh, yes. Oh,
But
yes.
anyway, so I order this huge Texas toast, chicken tenders, bacon, ranch, cheese, blah, blah, blah. And I sit down and Poke goes, oh, that looks so good. And I go,
I remember seeing this
yeah.
too.
And he
yeah.
goes, I'm telling you, man, I've had it before. It's really good. And he goes, can I just watch you eat it?
Yeah, watch you take a bite. Yeah.
And I took that
And you're like, dude, you want a side view or do you want a full frontal view? Yeah, I remember. That was so funny.
That was the moment I knew. I was like, this guy's going to be
Oh,
good
yes.
with me.
Yeah.
This guy's going to be good with me. But yeah, dude, he's a trip.
Mm-hmm.
There was a spot that you guys did in March with Dragon Hearts where you were doing the whole the shot of you had the big buckets.
So yeah, I'm just trying to have a good tag team match,
so
and Johnny
good.
gets out these gigantic red Solo cups, and I'm trying to tell him to just quit drinking before the match. I'm trying to regulate this. I'm trying to do my job as a sheriff of Shotgun City, a law-abiding citizen who is on duty and doesn't drink. But what does he do? He gets out these, gallon-sized red Solo cups and proceeds to give the baby dragon shots. A baby dragon.
The shit you see in an EPW ring.
Stuff that you see in independent wrestling.
It just in general, yeah, it's like an outlaw cowboy just gave a baby dragon a big shot. But that's what I love about the team, man, is that it's like it's that odd couple tag team.
It is.
It's the local drunk and the local sheriff.
Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday. You know,
that's a good way to put it.
We've seen Tombstone. That's one of my favorite movies. One of his favorite movies too. We've seen that. We're like, this is literally us. You know, this is our
this is
our
you
dynamic.
You guys play it so well
Especially
together.
Beer Money too. They're a big inspiration from TNA.
You're pretty much Beer Money. Yeah.
You guys broke my heart on Valentine's Day.
I told Johnny.
And now we're gonna go into these.
He's my partner. He's my tag partner, not my partner. It's so Valentine's Day. I don't need to celebrate Valentine's Day with him. It's not gonna happen.
Poor man cooked you a hell of a dinner.
He ate it. He ate it himself. He did not get wasted.
These vignettes you guys make, my God,
they're gold.
We were. I think we talked about it. I did, dude. So here's another thing too, Clayton. I have a microphone in front of me so often. I don't know if conversations took place with a microphone or just off the books. I don't know. But anyway, we were talking about it at one point. There's such this problem of, and for those of you that obviously this is audio, I'm grabbing my phone, holding it in front of me. Hey, yeah, I'm getting ready to work this match, and they're filming it portrait mode. Then there's people like you that take the initiative, you and Poke that take the initiative, whether it be by yourself or with each other, because you guys have done solo promos where you've sent back. But then you take it a step further and you do more than just match hype promos. Like the Christmas special was hilarious. The Valentine's Day special that we brought was hilarious. The one that he made by himself, celebrating
Johnny Independence,
celebrating the 4th of July.
It's a yearly disaster. If you're in the Perry County area, get away from Johnny Poke on July 4th. That's all I got to say.
Oh my God!
He invited me to that barbecue, and I said, "No way, brother. I'm not going to that." A lot of American flag speedos, a lot of fireworks, a lot of paint, a lot of whiskey. Too much for me.
Yeah, the face paint popped me with it. He's the definition of built different.
He is.
He really is. He's something else. But then, like, you know, to get real about it for a minute here is like just to see him after the show with his family. You know, you talk about the family support. That's so cool. That's so cool.
That's the thing about Johnny. I tell him all the time, I'm like, I look at you as like a big brother, that role model, you know, you never had. Because I've had older siblings, but never really lived with them. Half siblings are all different states, stuff like that. So the minute I met Johnny, he's like one of those guys, kind of like Sam and Dean or Bo and Luke Duke. I just had that like relationship with him where he's like older brother. I look up to him. I see what he does with his family. I see what he does in wrestling. I'm like, you know what? That's my ideal. That's what I want to be one day. You know, because I'm a younger cat. Poke's 30. I'm 20. A lot of people don't know that. There's different age gap between us, but you would never guess it because we're just tight-fitted like that. You know, we're just a well-oiled machine. You know, we're Whiskey and Warrants, and we're here to stay.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all we can say about that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are the one of, if not the best tag team in the Midwest.
I appreciate
that.
I
genuinely do mean that. I'm not just saying that because you're my buddy and you're my friend there.
They're the best all-around tag team in the Midwest, I'll say it.
Yeah, because you guys can do good solo stuff. You can do good tag stuff. You can do
good on a mic.
Good on the mic. Incredible on the microphone.
Well, and our whole thing is we're not going to work one company in Indiana and say we're the best in the Midwest. We're traveling. Just like we won the Envision tag titles. The next day we were hopping in the car like 4 hours after 4 hours of sleep. Johnny worked. I worked. We drive 6 hours at the D6, getting a 5-team cage match for the tag titles there. We're taking it everywhere. It's literally on our song, I've Been Everywhere by Johnny Cash. It's the LA Rats cover. But when we picked that song, we literally said it, we're going to scratch off every name they listed that, you know, town-wise in that song. Yeah. That's the plan, you know, just taking it everywhere and getting our name out there because you're only on this crazy, dusty trail once, and we're going to ride it till the saddle falls off, quite frankly.
It's just, and I'm glad to be just on the outside along.
No,
for
you
the
guys
ride.
were on the ride together.
I mean, we're on the ride.
We're
Yeah,
all on
this
this trail.
bitch.
We got a convoy going.
Hell yeah, man. So yeah, we're gonna get a little bit more into the future of what you want to see for your future, whether it be singles or with Johnny. Fingers crossed with Johnny because you guys are so great together.
Oh, yes.
But first, we're going to hear a word from our sponsors.
Hit him.
This episode of the Spot Show podcast is powered by Sewer Layer Toys, located at 3197 South 3rd Place in Terre Haute, Indiana. Guys, let me tell you one thing about Sewer Layer Toys, right? You're going to walk in, you're going to see a bunch of stuff that you want to buy, and you're going to be thinking to yourself, man, do I really want to buy this? Do I really need this stuff? Well, yeah, you do. You're going to walk in there, you're going to see a plethora, an endless amount of vintage toys, of retro toys, of modern toys, of that toy that maybe you had as a kid and you vaguely remember it. You're going to see it there, very fairly priced. Listen, I go in there and I love it. I get most of my collectibles there. Same goes for Madrox. We love these guys. Go in there, tell them the Spot Show podcast sent you, just so that I can prove to Scott that people are actually listening to us and that we are actually worth tying our name to them. I'm joking, of course. Listen, Scott and Andrew are two great guys. They run a really, really good store located in Terre Haute. Again, if you go to 3197 South 3rd Place, that is behind the mall in Terre Haute, Indiana. Go in there to Sewer Layer Toys. You are going to find some really, really good stuff. This episode of the Spot Show podcast is also brought to you by Hybrid Championship Wrestling, or HCW, if that's what you prefer to call them. Listen, Hybrid is an independent professional wrestling company based out of Terre Haute, Indiana. They have talent from all over the United States and are putting on star-studded shows all year long. But here's the thing about Hybrid. They are always looking for young new prospects and looking for new talent, sponsors, and business partners so that they can continue to bring you some of the best independent wrestling in the Midwest. If you want to go ahead, feel free to reach out to them on Facebook, Hybrid Championship Wrestling, on Twitter at HCW_live, or on Instagram at HCW Midwest. Thank you so much to Hybrid Championship Wrestling for sponsoring the Spot Show podcast. This episode of the Spot Show podcast is also brought to you by BurntBuds.com. You can check out Burnt Buds for all your cannabis-inspired clothing, jewelry, and accessories, and guess what? You can know that you're doing good. Burnt Buds has non-binary sizing up to 4XL, and here's the best part of all, 1% of all Burnt Buds profit goes to charities such as the Last Prisoner Project and the Trevor Project. Cannabis not your thing? Well, I got good news for you. Burnt Buds also has a variety of humor, Rasta, and LGBTQ plus themed clothing and jewelry. But I'm going to sweeten the deal here a little bit for you. If you go on over to burntbuds.com and use our promo code SPOTSHOW10, you are going to get 10% off your entire purchase. Again, that is Spot Show, the number 10, for 10% off your purchase at burntbuds.com. That is BURNTBUDZ.com. You can also check them out on Facebook at Burnt Buds. Check them out on Instagram at burnt_buds. Again, go to burntbuds.com, promo code SPOTSHOW10 for 10% off your entire purchase. So there is one thing, we talked about it. We come back, first person that approaches, hey, you were both Sawyers, little tag along. I was as well. Mm-hmm. Not to discredit us, but that's what we were.
Everybody's got to get there somewhere. Yeah. Everybody's been a young boy sooner or later.
But there was one thing that we bonded over, and it wasn't just Bo Sawyer. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Cecil Cerveza.
Let's talk about it.
I love Cecil Cerveza. Let's just preface this by saying, I love the man. I genuinely love the man. He was a very big part of my career early on because I managed him to a heavyweight title, had a really good run with him. But he is, and you feel bad for him in a way, but he makes it so easy on himself. But it's all with love. But so I leave, and he was kind of the butt of the joke in the locker room. And then you come back, and there's still Cecil jokes being cracked. And it's just like, so much so, this guy has infected my life so much that we talked about this on the podcast. I'm literally on vacation on a cruise, and we dock in the Dominican Republic. And I can't even enjoy my time there because I'm laughing.
Yeah, I'm getting messages from you, and you're Cecil played for the Dominican Dodgers here at this stadium.
I just found a random ballpark, and I was like, "This is where Cecil played for the Dominican Dodgers." But yeah, and again, sadly, everyone has to. There's always going to be someone that plays that role. But I think the thing with Cecil is that he knows that he's always going to be the comic relief, and I think he takes
Cecil
it all
radiates
in stride.
positivity in more than one realm.
He
Comedic,
does.
Humor, just seriousness. Because whenever you see that guy, your eyes light up, and that's what I love about Cecil is you could be having a bad day, and he gives that. Like I said, he allows himself to be the butt of the joke, and that's why he's a great heel. Whenever he's in that ring, he plays the best cowardly bad guy because he knows his role. And whenever you go into a show, like a lot of times you're supposed to leave everything at the door. Even if you're upset, you walk in, you're having a bad day. Cecil Cerveza comes up to you, says something funny, or just does his normal shtick. It floats away.
And sometimes
he's really good about relieving that pressure.
Sometimes it's inadvertently funny.
Yeah.
He
could be saying hi or shaking your hand, and just the way he did it.
Yeah,
just his presence.
Cecil's like the urban legend of a locker room.
He's the most over person in the Midwest.
Oh yeah, he might be.
Every locker room I go to, I hear about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked about it. Justin Myers, hadn't seen him in probably 6 years. Well, since I left, 6 years. Went to New Era with Dalton. First thing Justin Myers says to me, "You going to go out there and get Cecil fired, Dickie?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." And then I told him, I was like, "Dude, me and Clayton Clark bonded over Cecil jokes."
Man, the whole thing with Cecil, it's ended up being like a rivalry that hasn't ever even been said. He's always coming after me and Johnny with some tag partner.
Yeah.
He's always coming after me with one of my belts in singles action. I don't know what the guy's problem is. He's moist as can be, but there ain't nothing I can do about it. That's not a crime. I can't arrest him for it unless he takes that out in public.
So when not many people know about this, that I used to have a podcast called Dickie Wabash Talks to People.
Okay.
This was an old one. And every guest that I would have on, I would say, "Tell me your favorite Cecil Cerveza story." And then Jason V did a bit where he would start the podcast by coming on and telling the Cecil Cerveza story of the week. And it was so great. And he's like, "Why are you picking on me?" And I'm like, "Cecil, I'm not picking on you. Hey." But it's just like, again, he plays the role. He's so great. Like, he genuinely is a funny dude.
The last one I liked was we were on a show for Envision here recently, and he was texting the promoter about like, "Hey, am I booked?" and all that. "The flyer's already out, Cecil. You're literally on the flyer." And then like the promoter sends that back to him, and he's like, "So I am booked?" ? And that one just got me, just the simplicity of it. So that'd be my Cecil Cerveza story of the week.
Yeah, there.
Because that was like last week.
Are we bringing this back?
Oh, we might need to. We got to get him on, man.
We have
he
to
would
get
be a
Cecil
fun
Cerveza
one.
here.
He would be a
Yes.
fun one, dude. I love the guy. Like I said, I ran the roads with him. We had a really good run together. We were actually watching some Cecil Cerveza matches
Yes.
today and last
Yeah.
night. We watched the
A Dominican marathon is what we should call it.
a Dominican
Yes.
marathon. We watched the infamous
The
chairs
moist
match.
marathon of Cecil Cerveza.
Oh hell yeah, I love it. So when did this all start? When did the whole moist thing start?
Oh my God. So the first time I seen it really happening was over at IWAU at Noble, Illinois on Tuesday nights. The crowd just started. I think it was Jason Tiller who really got it going. And then I had a match with Cecil in the crowd, and it was for the heavyweight title, and the crowd just wouldn't stop chanting it at Cecil. And I'm a really over babyface there, and Cecil was the heel, and they just wouldn't give him anything. But it was only moist. It was like the birds from Finding Nemo who kept doing the moi, moi, moi,
Yeah.
but it was moist, and the crowd just kept doing that. And I mean, if you're getting a reaction like that, then you're doing something right. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's better than none because I've been matches where guys are doing spots off ladders, they're using weapons, and you hear crickets.
Yeah.
He's just being himself, and listen to him.
Yeah, it's it's one of the, it's like when it's effortless and you can make it happen, then your night's done.
Yeah.
You can honestly just lay down, take the pinfall, and go
exactly.
back to the back. You don't even need to, it's not even about the work rate at that point.
Easy payday.
I was like Tanner Keeler. It wasn't easy last night, but he was squeezing my nipples so hard. The crowd loved it. I hated it, but wasn't anything too complex. We didn't reinvent the wheel.
But you know what, though? You had the crowd in the palm of your hand.
Exactly.
Absolutely had them in the palm of your hand. They were chanting, what was it? Bang, bang, Bart.
Yeah, call me Bang Bang Mark. Just at least call me Bang Bang Clark, people. Like, come on.
It all buffs out.
It busts out.
But yeah, when you can have a crowd in the palm of your hand, like it's the best feeling in the world. Like by doing nothing. By doing nothing.
Well, some people say they tunnel in and they block the crowd out when they get in the match. I can't do that.
I don't know how you could.
I came from musical theater and acting, so hearing that crowd reaction, engaging with the crowd, facials, feeding to the crowd, that's always been bread and butter for me. You have to do that. That has to be in the back of your mind. That has to be instinct. You know? It literally has, because once you take that away and you're not acknowledging the people that are paying to be there to watch that, that's who you're feeding to. You're not going to get anything. They're not going to bite. It's like a fish with no bait on the hook.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that you bring up the, it's almost as if you're in my head right now, Clayton, and like you're reading what my segues are going to be. And so
hacking in.
Yeah. When you first told me you were a theater kid, had that theater background, I was like, wow, that really surprises me, because I just look at you and I'm like, you don't strike me as that type.
Yeah.
So
you'd have to see photos of me from like 3 or 4 years ago. Like I'm only 20 now, but like I think every 2 years I don't know what it is. I have to go through some sort of evolution. My whole thing is keep changing, keep evolving, keep growing.
Evolution is a mystery.
It is a mystery.
Full of change.
I see the line in the
sees.
sand.
Yeah.
I know what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's why this is crazy. I was like, man, Clayton Clark, a theater kid. Man, that's so weird to think about.
Yeah, my last one I was Donkey. They made me a jackass. My final role, they cast me as a jackass.
For Shrek?
For Shrek, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Give me the waffles line.
The waffle? Actually, it wasn't in that. That's for the movie only. Parfaits is what mine was. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, because have you read the original Shrek book?
No.
It's weird.
The Shrek script for the musical, horrible.
Who would
musical.
write a Shrek book?
It was what the movie was based off of.
Who the hell would write a movie?
I mean, do you blame them? It was awesome. I love Shrek.
Oh my god.
I like the movie. I will say that as a kid, one of my favorite movies. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love. So there's the meme of the guy on TikTok that is getting the DVD copies or the VHS copies of Shrek because they would give you a free scoop from Baskin Robbins. Or you could win a car.
Yeah.
And I remember having the peeling it off when I bought the DVD and being like, I got a free scoop of ice cream. And then we went to Baskin Robbins. I was like, 1, please. And then I get my scoop and I just felt like hot shit because I'm like, yeah, Shrek got me here.
Oh, I remember the McDonald's cups. You remember the glass cups McDonald's used to get if you get like a drink, and they were commemorative. They had those for like the old Batman Forever movies, all those.
Yeah.
And they had
more my logic than
Yeah,
Shrek.
but see, here's the thing though. You're experiencing this as someone that was not experiencing it as it was happening.
Oh, no.
Like you missed out on the golden age of fast food is giving.
Oh,
you
I did.
things.
Because you got to think of the viewers. 2002 is when I was born, so I'm a Gen Z cowboy.
I tell you this all the time. It is so weird to me that one of my closest friends in this business learned about 9/11 as an historical event.
Yeah.
You didn't experience
it. We consistently bring that up, and
it's so weird to me.
It is weird.
It's so weird to me. But anyway, yeah, you missed out on like the win. Like, you think fast food is commercialized now? Brother, you missed out on the mid to late 90s.
Super Size Me. I watched that documentary one time about McDonald's. Oh, my God.
Dude, and that's what changed everything.
Yeah.
That's what, but dude, like.
Dude, we used to get video games in our Happy Meals and DVDs.
Yeah.
Guys,
and
what do we get like now? Plastic junk toys?
coloring posters now.
And coloring posters?
Dude, this was back in the day. They had the really cool, they were like Transformers. They were like burgers and fries and stuff, and they would transform into robots.
Yeah.
Then do you remember the nuggets that you could dress up in the costumes?
Yep, the Halloween nuggets.
Yeah, they even, there was.
Why isn't that still a thing? Halloween nuggets.
It's so sad. Like, I remember
Burger King had 3 different PlayStation 2 games that you got with every kids meal purchase. Like,
yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah,
like full video games.
Dude, and then not to mention Burger King had the gold-plated Pokemon cards.
Yep.
And like, dude, it was just. But the best one is that McDonald's. they released, this is just to give you an idea, it was cassette tapes.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like sing-along Ronald McDonald stuff.
Yeah.
And I had all of them, and my mom would play them on repeat and just listen to it all the time for me. And I don't remember any of the songs. I'm sure if I hit a quick Googski search, I would be able to find it. But the only thing I remember from one of the songs is riding in his old jalopy. And then like that's the only thing that I remember.
Jalopy.
But then on top of that, they released VHS tapes that was a cartoon of Ronald McDonald.
Uh-huh.
And they full-blown made a cartoon. You remember these?
Yep.
I have one of them on VHS still. And it was the damnedest thing in the world. But I don't even know how we got on this topic.
But I'm all for it.
But dude,
Yeah,
you missed out on that stuff, man.
I did. That's what I'm jealous now. We got on this topic. I'm like, damn it.
You're
Can
in
we
the
get off
music,
this?
right? You're in the
You're
music,
ruining.
right?
You're reminding me how my childhood sucked.
Dude,
No, like but see, you grew up in a pretty good time period. But
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
there's, and maybe for us, it's just that nostalgia. I don't know, but it's really cool to be like, I went to McDonald's and I got this VHS tape, and it's
Yeah.
just, it was so cool. Like, dude, even
nothing tops being so cool to go to Burger King and get a goddamn fucking Backstreet Boys action figure
Yeah.
with an unreleased track on CD, and you had to collect all 4 different CDs to get the whole album.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, that is
or
sick.
the Long John Silver's
Good
had.
incentive to buy too.
Yes.
Yeah, but that was the point.
Yeah.
Except when your mom worked there and you get all the shit for free.
Yeah, I think it was Long John Silver's, wasn't it, that had the Mr. Gadget Build-A-Fig?
Wendy's, I believe.
It was Wendy's. It was Wendy's. It was Wendy's.
Ooh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it was so cool, man. But yeah,
This
dude.
is a whole podcast itself.
Dude, I could sit out and just be
We
like,
haven't even covered cereal back in the day.
No, you missed out on good cereal
Yeah.
too, because
I've
like,
never seen a cereal toy in a box. Like I see the Cracker Jack in the box. You see those little toys.
Yeah.
But I've not actually ever seen like a toy in a cereal box. Like,
Yeah.
that's always the big stereotype. You hear of that, but I've never physically seen that.
Well, I'll tell you, like, talk about like the generational thing, because again, we're millennials, you're Gen Z.
Yeah.
My freshman year of high school was when so it would have been your junior year, or no, it was my.
I only got a year on you, brother.
No, you were 2 ahead of me. We have this conversation all the time.
I don't remember.
You were 2 years ahead of me in high school. I think it was not even high school. I think it was my 6th grade year is when they took the vending machines out of the school. So, but from the sound of it, that shit's coming back.
I'll say we had vending machines, but with it was the whole nutritional kind of area where everything was just kind of they take your pop out of there, or it was more your sparkling waters.
Oh
stuff
no,
like
brother!
that.
You could walk up and get a Mountain Dew and Fritos.
Yeah, we could. But I remember there for like a year. Like I think I was like in 8th grade, so I wasn't in high school yet, but I seen what the high schoolers had, and they had all that. But then you graduate and you go to freshman, and then it was all gone. It was weird.
Yeah.
I used to live off those vending machines.
Oh
Yeah.
man, my lunch every day was a bag of chips and a soda. And it was whenever vanilla Coke went through a weird phase where it was called V Coke for some reason. I don't know why. And our principal, he went by Mr. V because he had a really hard to pronounce last name. So I went up to him and I said, "Hey, this is your Coke." And he's like, "Go sit down." But yeah, it's just
no sell, brother.
Yeah, he
No
really
sell.
he really did give me the big no sell. But yeah, man, it's just so crazy to like. But it's again, it's that thing of like, was this stuff really good, or are we just looking at it with rose-colored glasses?
Yeah.
You know? And then, but you look at it as, man, that would have been so cool to experience. But then at the same time, you're the screen generation where you are born with a screen in front of your face, pretty much.
See, I was actually lucky because I felt like the couple grades behind me, I feel like they're more like that, especially. But
well, yeah,
it helps. I was raised by my 70-year-old grandpa, but
which is true.
I was raised off gun smoke, playing with the wooden guns you get from Rural King in the yard, reenacting war, stuff like that.
Which I think like that you seem so much more mature than you actually are, because when I found out you were 20,
yeah,
I was like, no way this dude's 20. Like, he's got to be a couple years younger than me.
that's why I run with Poke. Makes me look grizzled. He's got that beard. He's
It
got the
makes you
wife
look
and- He's got the
grizzled.
wife and kid. They might think
Yeah.
I'm 25.
22 at best.
22 at best, right?
But yeah. So then what? So you talk about you watch Gunsmoke and stuff. Then to bring it back, I mean, even though we are a professional wrestling podcast, not about professional wrestling. So then what's your? Just for us, obviously, it's the Attitude Era is our childhood. So you're more probably Ruthless Aggression era, right?
Actually, so when So how got into actually like watching wrestling was I didn't watch wrestling at all until it was my first grade year. So 2009 is when I first started watching
He's in
wrestling.
the PG era,
Oh
brother.
wow, you were PG era kid.
Nexus thing with Cena was like one of the first things I remember seeing in like 2010. Then,
Oh my
Orton
God,
and
dude.
Cena, Miz being on the scene first, Sin Cara, fake Sin Cara. That's where I was there.
And
Yeah.
see, it's what's so funny is because you and Dalton are just a couple of years, or not even a couple, like a year apart.
Yeah.
And he was on here talking about how John Cena, Randy Orton was what made me, and I'm like, brother, I was worrying about finals at that time.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. It was your senior year. Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing? But that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
To think that you're a PG era kid. That's
No.
crazy.
And I literally, because I hadn't watched wrestling, I was riding the bus, and me and this one kid would always like toss a ball back and forth, ask a question. He asked me who my favorite wrestler was, and I was like, throw it back really quick. Who's yours? John Cena. And I was like, oh yeah, he's my favorite too. Who's he wrestling tonight? And he told me who he was, what channel it was on, all that. Went home, watched. I think it was John Cena and The Miz that night. Haven't quit watching since. I think I quit watching for a little while in 2012. Restarted again in 2014. That's when WWE changed so much. Like, oh my God, the scratch logo's gone. What's this new belt?
Yeah.
Where's CM Punk? All that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So it was just very weird. It's like I didn't like the era of wrestling that I grew up with, but going back watching it, like my guy back in the day was Edge, and then when I finally started going back studying tapes, watching Attitude Era, Golden Era, Stampede Wrestling, anything. I'm a big Bret Hart guy. I love the Von Erichs, JBL. He's one of my top 5.
I love
Edge still.
JBL, man.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation. His title run is one of the best WWE title runs.
Absolute best.
Because it was
One of the
9
absolute
months
best.
and it's the only time he held it.
Yeah.
And when he worked Mysterio at whatever WrestleMania that was, and he did the quit, and then he had that realization of like, oh my God, I just quit.
Yeah.
Like he was so good. He was so good. I don't give a fuck. You can talk about John Layfield in the locker room all you want. And how he was.
We always said that.
We don't care about that. Yeah. We don't care about that. I have the uncanny ability to separate the art from the artist.
Yes.
I've always been able to do that. And he was so solid. It was funny because I was on Squared Circle, the subreddit, and someone was like, here's my favorite receipt in the history of wrestling. And it was when Stevie Richards got the receipt for Blue Meanie and just fucking
that chair
tagged
shot.
JBL with that chair.
Stevie Richards just did an interview and came out. That wasn't a receipt at all.
Really?
Bradshaw planned the spot.
Yeah.
Stevie said, I can't get that high. Bradshaw told him to swing for the fences.
Really?
There was never no heat or nothing behind it.
Damn. So that must have been JBL being like, look, I was kind of a dick when that happened. Why don't you just go ahead?
Well, and that was in the era where every chair shot to the head was like that.
God,
Remember Shamrock and Rocks?
Oh my God. Or what
That
about
horrible way to phrase that. Ken and Rocks.
Yeah. Yeah. Shamrock and Rock.
Yeah. Shamrock and Rock.
Yeah. Dwayne and Ken.
Yeah. Dwayne and Ken.
But you talk about JBL, the chair shot to Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
When I don't know.
Talk about that match.
So was that, has that ever
No
come
Way
out?
wasn't it?
Was that, no, that was
it Vengeance?
Might have been No Mercy, maybe. It was a SmackDown pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I know that. It might have been Great American Bash. No, because Great
Could have
American
been
Bash.
Backlash.
Who knows? Point is, so did that ever come out? Was that a botched gig job or was that just a hard way? I don't think they
know.
ever said. Because Eddie bled a lot.
That was like pure red face, pure crimson mask. It was insane.
Yeah. So then you talk about, but this is where you were lucky, is that you talk about you get back in 2014 and then you start studying. So you had the benefit of WWE Network.
Yes.
So that's
what started everything.
I'm assuming that's how you were able to go back and watch all this stuff.
Because at the time, only knew about WWE. Then obviously through the network, you see all these other promotions. And then that gets you going down a rabbit hole where, oh crap, I find out about New Japan Pro Wrestling, or what's this TNA we talk about, or Impact at the time. So, and yeah, that's another thing. You guys grew up with TNA. Then when I get to it, it's Impact.
Yeah. Well, we were in the car yesterday and we were talking something about, like, we played Jeff Jarrett's TNA theme. Because we mark out for it big time, and you're just sitting like, what is this?
Oh, I knew his theme, but I was just like,
you didn't know the intro.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and we're like, Clayton, this is the goated era of Jeff Jarrett when he had the long build intro, because like you gotta see, like that was the plan. But we had so much that we wanted to do over these last couple of days. But next time, you gotta see some Asylum era TNA because it's dude, it's nuts. But that's the shit that that's what we Like
I'm
literally.
gonna drop this on you now. I dropped it on the last podcast we did. What if I told you there was a Raven versus a Sean Waltman hardcore match?
Anything Sean Waltman, man. Talk about the guy who took the pedigree the best. Nobody took a pedigree like Sean Waltman.
Kane always took it really good, but in a bad way because he would always take the knee.
Yeah.
So we're actually getting near our allotted time, but I mean, we don't really care. But I'm going to take Madrox's shot because you got something that you ask all our guests. So you want to go ahead and do it?
Yeah, sure. You've only been in for a handful of years, but what's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you out there?
I don't think so. So I haven't had any big embarrassing moments like, oh crap, I crap myself in the ring, or anything like that. But I remember my first match, like one of my first matches I had. Some guy called me Karate Kid. He called me Ralph. I think it's Machio. He called me a lookalike of him, and that just like got me in the ring. Like I froze, and at that point, I'm like, there went all my confidence. But that was like the only one I've ever really had. I've not had anything in the ring. Really.
Well, wait a minute. I just had a realization. Unless I'm misunderstanding, unless maybe Dalton has or Steven has, we have the first ever person that has ever been on Botchamania on our podcast.
Yes. Yeah.
The shotgun
and
shitty
it
sheriff.
wasn't even because of anything I did.
Yeah.
It was the announcer.
Yeah, the shotgun shitty sheriff.
So it was World Wrestling Alliance, WWA, out of Evansville, Liverpool, Kentucky, all that area. One of their announcers, they called me the shotgun shitty sheriff. Never going back to that promotion for that reason, I could tell you that. I am no shotgun city sheriff. I am the shotgun city sheriff. But yeah, all in good fun. That was pretty funny though.
Yeah.
I love seeing it making Botchamania. That was cool.
Do you remember what number?
No, I don't. No.
Man,
yeah.
If I made it, I would have been like, I'm going to time
I didn't know it made Botchamania till like 6 months after, then because I worked one show with him. Wasn't there for a long time. Got to work another show, and they're like, "Yeah, you're on Botchamania with that." I'm like, I had no clue. I wish I knew.
So, do you remember World Famous Flea Market?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so they were these guys that would get shindy matches, and they would do commentary over them. And if they were good, they were good. If they were bad, it was just not great.
Right.
But when they were on it, they were fucking on it, and it was hilarious. I'm on a World Famous Flea Market video. It was who was it? It was Jeff O'Shea. I managed him against Sourdough. And
I know Sourdough.
We got to smarten you up to some Sourdough, brother. He was the man. But where was I going with this? But what was funny about it is that they're burying Sourdough because he's this little twink out there in his singlet, and then they're like putting me over.
Yeah.
And because this is when I was doing Dickie with the buttons on the vest, and they're like, look at all those. What'd they say? You go, look at all the Employee of the Month awards that man has won. And it was like, I bet he works at a Bennigan's. And it was just like all this dumb stuff. Yeah. But yeah. So, I feel like because you said that, you got into PG, broke off, blah, blah, blah. You're just now kind of discovering like old TNA. I feel like that Madrox and I can really show you a world of professional wrestling that like, I think that you're really going to dig.
Oh, yeah.
Like, are you familiar with, like, now I'm not talking about what it is now, but I'm talking like old JCW.
Mm-mm.
Dude, we got to show him JCW at some point, man.
Yeah, we do.
So JCW is the reason that we are doing this. Mm-hmm. So it's ICP's promotion, the Insane Clown Posse's promotion, and it was originally Juggalo Champion Shit Wrestling, and they would do this shit. It was just literally they were out there just to take the piss.
Yeah.
They were just out there just having fucking fun. They were on commentary making fun of themselves. Just to give you an example, there's one match which we can't really say who the people are that they were working because it was a different time.
Yeah.
And so what they would do, they would do commentary in post, and they would do Handsome Harvey Guastella, better known as Guido, and Diamond Donovan Douglas, 3D. And they would, they were talking about this match, and they're in this shitty gymnasium, and it's like kind of sold out, whatever.
Right.
And they keep saying Sydney, right?
Yeah.
They keep saying this match was in Sydney, Australia. Everyone is loving it, blah, blah, blah. Sydney, Australia, 20,000 hanging from the rafters, blah, blah, blah.
So that's where that quote comes from then.
So once you watch old JCW and then watch MadBash commentary,
you're like,
you'll
okay,
see
dang.
It'll click.
It'll click. Yeah.
I get where this comes from.
So anyway, they're in there and they're like, oh, this is in Australia, blah 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 blah. And then they keep going, and then like halfway through the match, they go, the capacity crowd here has never seen action like this in Australia, and they go, or this match, because it's really in Maryland. It's stuff like that.
Oh my god,
it is just so funny. But like they did one where a guy did a power bomb that was kind of botched, and the guy landed like right on the back of his head, and they go, holy shit, and they start laughing. They go, play that back, and then they just keep playing it back, and they're laughing at it. Was it Matt Cross or Josh Ambition, or Josh Prohibition rather? I'm Josh Ambition.
That broke the rope?
That broke the rope.
It was a cross.
Yeah. So there was a part, M-Dog 20. This is when he was M-Dog.
Yeah.
He was wearing the baggy shit. He goes to do a Acai moonsault, but the rope breaks. And they're
I
like,
think you showed me this clip.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like kind of trying to be serious or whatever. And I hope he's okay. And then Shaggy as Guido goes, I don't give a fuck. That was funny as hell. But it's just like, that's the shit that they would do, man. But yeah, now knowing that, and we'll show you some JCW next time you're here.
Yeah.
You're here at the house. Well, it'll click with you, and you'll
That's
be
awesome.
like, oh my God, this is where. But that's literally what started us. Is that we wanted to commentate over purposefully, but not even purposely bad wrestling, but just bad wrestling.
Yeah.
And that's what really lit the fire up under
Yeah.
us, because we were both going through really rough times in our life. We would get together and watch wrestling, and then
That was everybody's escape, was wrestling. If you love it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially as a kid, you'll hear everybody say it. If you have traumatic life events, you can have a perfect life. Everybody deals with stress. Everybody deals with bad days. That was the therapy.
Yeah.
Everybody's therapy.
Well, we were. I'm going to double back to something that we were talking about Cecil and how he can leave it at the door and blah blah blah.
Yes.
We were having a little powwow. It was me, you, Matt Maverick, and Sam Knight. We were.
Yeah.
All, do you remember this conversation? Yeah. And Sam was talking about how it's very important to leave it at the door, and he's like explaining to people like, you got to leave it at the door. You got to blah blah blah. But yeah, I think that's the thing, because if you're not in the right headspace, then you're going to hurt your guy.
And too many guys' problem is whenever they get in that ring, they are themselves. People aren't there to watch whatever you are when you work your 9-to-5 job and go home and eat and then go to bed. Nobody cares about that. They want to see something different. They want to see a spectacle. They want to see an individual that has confidence, takes the brass rings by his hand as something different, out of the ordinary.
Make me believe.
Exactly. You did the Facebook post.
Yep.
That challenge.
Yeah.
Everybody, quote, say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make that
Madrox,
challenge.
Yeah. You made that challenge. Why don't you go ahead?
I completely forgot it. No, but we all know you can do the moves. We all know you can sell, but like, go out there and make me believe in you. Make me believe in the character you're portraying. Make me believe you're going to kick my ass. Make me believe you're going to hurt the person in the ring. Don't just go out there and look robotic and do nothing.
Yeah, and I think that to bring it back full circle, I feel like you and Poke do that. Absolutely.
And you feel a lot better after your bodies do. I can tell you that. You're going to be bumping a lot longer if you do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that it's like you guys really like Johnny Poke reminds me of Sandman in a way, of where it's like, I could go have a beer at the bar with that guy right now.
Yeah.
And then I get to go watch him wrestle.
No, that's the whole dynamic of me and Poke, is you could have a beer with us afterwards and I could pull you over for trying to leave with that beer. You know what I mean? That's our dynamic, and I just absolutely love it.
But it's like the funny thing that you said is that they don't pay to see what you are in your normal everyday life. So, I mean, we peel the curtain back for like, you're not a fucking sheriff. You're
exactly.
You're not a sheriff.
I'm not a
obviously.
sheriff. I'm not a sheriff.
But they don't want to see.
He's a deputy.
He is a deputy. But you get him in there, they believe. It's like, oh my God, he's the law. And he's like, they don't want to just see you out there like, hey guys, what's up? Let's watch Cecil Cerveza matches.
Exactly.
Like how you are in your normal life. Love you, Cecil. I swear to God, it's all from a place of love. But that's what, like, and I hate. So watch your character. Oh, it's just me punched up to 11.
Yes.
Don't.
And how many times have you heard that?
So much.
I wish I had $1 for every time I heard that, so I can buy my own ring to train in my backyard.
Yeah.
Because I literally could with how many times I've heard that comment.
It's crazy, man. One time I was with a company, And if you want to hear the uncensored version of this story, you're going to want to check out Paid Show.
Check out Paid Show, everybody.
Yeah, we're getting ready to be ending this one to go into Paid Show. But you know what? I just might save this story for Paid Show.
Save it, brother.
I'm going to save it for Paid Show.
Make them pay. Make them pay.
It was all about character work. Someone put out, it was all character work, and we'll tell the story behind Paid Show. But we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. Clayton, we're going to give the floor to you. Where can the people come see you, or where can they see you online and all that jazz?
All right. Well, on Instagram, you can add me at Sheriff Clayton Clark. I am Clayton Clark on Facebook, and I have a Twitter handle at the Sheriff Clark 02. Find me on YouTube under Clayton Clark. I'm in Elite Pro Wrestling, Envision Wrestling, IWA Productions, D6, IWAU every Tuesday night in Noble, Illinois. You see a flyer with my face on it, I'm there putting justice down, laying down the law, baby.
There you go. So they can find all your dates and shit on all that stuff.
I post daily. Keep up with it.
Hell yeah, man. You love to see that. So yeah, of course, you can find me on Instagram at attaboydickie, at Madrox_BSB. Stick around for those of you that are on the Patreon. We're getting ready to do Paid Show, and I feel like this one's going to be a doozy.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have that sheriff straight shooting from the hip.
Oh, yeah.
You never know what
holsters are off for this one.
Never know. Clayton, of course, we're getting ready to do Paid Show with you and everything, but we got to have you back just for Spot Show in general, and you got to bring Poke with you.
Yes, round two. We got Whiskey and Warrants. Yes.
We got to get both of you on here, man. I want Johnny on this podcast very badly.
I can't wait to hear his story about the cosplaying.
Oh. Man. Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to hear his point of view. I can't wait to hear his version of the story.
How what he's seen whenever he walked in. He's like, dang, this is the gimmick I was going to do. Yeah.
But anyway, guys, again, for those of you on the Patreon, stick around. You'll be able to check out Paid Show. Again, Clayton, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Love being here.
This was a blast. See you guys on Paid Show.